And good morning. It's your favorite neighborhood Toronan. And I have a running bet with my brother that it will be how long it will be before I say it's your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man by accident. Ain't gonna happen, but we'll find out. So, you guys are in on the bet too. Yeah, if I say it and I don't and I didn't intend to say it by accident, call me out on it. I'm gonna end up paying some money. Hey, let's get going here. Well, we have fully upgraded the Yak 3, and I thought I'd share it with you. Let's take a look at it, and we'll go briefly over it. Survivability is only so-so, and it's in the lower of the range. Gun armament is 360, which is just great. Airspeed is now, thanks to the latest upgrade, 674, which isn't bad at all. Maneuverability is 1083, which is as good as you're going to get in there. I think the A7M is going to be a little more maneuverable. Your altitude performance is going to be 6309. And let's take it to them. Now, the last time I tried to jump into a game, I ended up waiting about 2 minutes. So let's hope that it goes a little faster this time, but you never can tell. If there's any questions about the Act 3, I have had multiple videos on it, I think, at this point, so going over the history one more time is probably going to get boring, but basically they upgraded the engine, replaced a lot of the plywood parts. I shouldn't say plywood, but they were real thin strips with a phenolic resin, and then they heat treat them, and it made a decent part, especially if you're worried about your metals. Later in the war, when this came out, it turned out that they had enough metals and they could go replace things like wing spars and airframe mounts and everything else with metal, and it got lighter, and with the engine upgrades, it got a heck of a lot better, and it became a better fighter. So for what it's worth, there you go. It also mounts three 20mm machine guns, which is both the blessing and bane of this particular aircraft. And we'll see that in the game, is that you just don't quite get enough oomph from the guns before you overheat them sometimes. And whether that's my poor aim or the fact that it's just not quite getting enough damage is yet to be seen. I don't know what everybody else's experience has been, but that's been mine. And that's true of the Yak, or so I should say the LA-7 too. These things are twins for all intents and purposes. You're going to miss about 200 points in maneuverability. You're going to gain about 200 feet, or well, more like 400 feet in altitude with the LA-7. So pick your poison. You want it super turny? This is the aircraft. You want something that's a little more versatile in altitude? You probably want the LA-7. Other than that, they're pretty much twins. And that makes sense, right? There was a lot of, well, there might have been some rivalry going on. It's kind of hard to do that under a dictatorship, which is, you know, say whatever you want to, is what it was. That doesn't make me as expert on the history of the Soviet era, by the way. So if somebody's got a different opinion, sure would like to hear it. Maybe I'll learn something. That'd be a good thing, right? And boost on this remains kind of eh. You know, I see one of our aircraft has got two of the air defense fighters on them. We don't like that. And they will not have good intentions where we are concerned. So, they gotta go. See if we can make that happen. Now, you can see that the guns are quite effective, but I am at the limit of my altitude range and desperately trying to stay relevant here without a whole lot of success. And I am about double my effective altitude limitations. Not a whole lot I can do about it. But I'm going to hang up here and try to help my fellow pilot anyway, because he doesn't have a whole lot of support here. I only got one, but you notice that it's now turned red, and you notice how bad my performance is. I've got to get down to a lower altitude. And there's no reason for me to stay up here anyway. All the ground attack fighters are coming behind us. I hope you guys are not hearing the kind of squeak sound I am, but I am picking it up in my headset. I hope that this does not carry over into the actual recording. Alright, so let's move on here, and I see an enemy fighter. And I didn't invite this fellow. Now this is an F4U1. He's going to have very long range, very accurate guns. I own one. I've done videos on it. I know exactly what that thing can do. You do not want that thing in the sky with you. Sooner or later, it will get those guns on you, and it's over. And somebody's already on my tail. Yep. And who did it? Nah. Looks like a 0. Well, no, it's Spitfire. Never mind. Those are pretty dangerous, too. And it might be just me, but we don't look like we're doing that good against the enemy aircraft. Let's get to battle and see if we can help out. Now we've already got a 3 cap to 2 advantage, and that's really paying off for us. Not that we're not capable of blowing it. I've seen it too often, but I'm hopeful. What that is, that's an A-26. Boy, is this the wrong aircraft to go after those with. Alright, I'm going to continue to slide by that guy because I am going way too fast to effectively address him. And I need to get a lot slower. Alright, those of you who have seen my videos on the IL-2, you do not want to let that thing get anywhere near your plants. They will wreck it. And I see we have cleverly allowed ourselves to lose the base. And I have no way to address that because I don't have any ground attack ability whatsoever, except I can pop some AA mounts. And it's times like this that makes me wish I was in my P-51 so I could go after those A-26s, but I don't, and I can't. So unless I see some Look, I can't get to those A-26s, and I cannot get to, can't do anything about the bombers. I've already taken care of the enemy fighters for them. And I do see an air defense fighter up there. So we're going to use what limited boost we have, try to get up somewhere around that area, and hope that he flies within range, because that's what I'm down to. Okay. That fellow. Okay, well, I think I'm going to keep this video because it goes a long way to show both this aircraft's strengths and its weaknesses. This aircraft is very good at low level. It can turn on a dime. It can put guns on. It's very effective with the guns. You have to wait for a little bit for the guns to cool down, but basically it works like a charm. But when it comes to having to be a more all-round fighter, it kind of fails. And it fails because of the low altitude. Now, that's exactly what it's built for. World of Warplanes is doing exactly the correct thing with this plane because it was not a high altitude performer. In fact, it kind of petered out right around 15,000 feet, if I remember right, and started going, the performance started degrading pretty badly. Be that as it may, doing what it does very well. It quickly gets on target. It quickly turns. It quickly gets its guns on target. That's all that it's supposed to do, and it does it best within about 36,000 feet. And that's about it. Okay, there's not a whole lot more to say about the aircraft. It is a very good aircraft within its limitations. I generally prefer the LA-7, and here's why. The maneuverability is not as good. It's given up 200 points. But you get yourself, I was wrong. You're getting yourself about 800 more feet of altitude, which means you can get up there a good bit more. Airspeed is very similar. Gun armament's exactly the same. Survivability is better. To me, it's a better all-rounder. And you don't give up that much in maneuverability. So for me, of the two aircraft, if you want the turn and burn fighter, there you go. It's as good as any of them, better than most. And in fact, let's go ahead and take a moment. We'll actually show this against the aircraft I would most compare it to. Let's take a moment and compare these. Okay, and then we'll come back over here, pick up the Yak 3, and here they are in comparison. And in fact, we'll just go the extra mile and show them all up here. Alright, so when it comes to survivability, these are all turn and burn fighters in my opinion. Altitude, you're going to get better aircraft altitude performance out of the Spitfire. Very comparable gun performance. Okay, if you're thinking one's going to be better than the other, 34 difference in guns, not a whole heck of a lot. And some of this is coming from shorter range machine guns. I kind of prefer that, but because they don't overheat and you continue to do damage, but so be it. The Rapoo is going to give you a little bit better maneuverability. I'm going to tell you that I have gone around and around with a Rapoo and a Yak on the other side and vice versa. You're going to make so many turns, somebody's going to shoot you down before you get one over the other. All right. Altitude performance is exactly the same. So the closest match between these is going to be to A7 Rapoo as opposed to A7M Rapoo against the Yak 3 are going to be very close. It's going to be faster. This is going to be turnier. Gun armament's much better in the Rapoo. And there's your trade-offs for what they're worth. Okay, so do want to thank you. Hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.